And so it is, we do welcome the 2007 Coptic ministerial ordinated wonderful woman, Lori France, as she speaks tonight. And retired from Mott Community College in Flint, Michigan, having spent, there we go, 20 years in Michigan school system as a high school teacher and community college instructor. She has studied metaphysics since the mid-1980s and became a Coptic minister once again, as I mentioned, in 2007. She facilitates daily study groups via email on A Course in Miracles and continues to study non-dualism and the meaning of oneness from many traditions. Interesting topic tonight. When she went through the ministerial program, as many of us in the virtual webinar tonight have, they are required to give a workshop weekend. And on the workshop weekend, her class gave a slide presentation. It was illuminated on a screen of different colors. I think she was one as part of that presentation. I could be wrong, but that's one thing that stuck out in my mind when I went to the Dominican Center where they gave their workshop that weekend back in 2007. Vibratory energy of color is the topic tonight.
Personally, I tend to think about color every day as I actually douse every morning on what colors I'm going to wear that day. So today I actually got light turquoise color, and I don't know how much all of you think about color on a daily basis. But also I picked this topic because I felt like Hamid Bey had some important information to share with us about the vibratory energy of color. And some of what Rose just read to us was is some of what I was going to talk about. And so from lesson 6, which I think Rose you were reading from, but which is also lesson 2. Do everyone remember this? The home study course. This one is lesson 25, and it's color rainbow of perfection. And and again, this is part of what Rose said a few minutes ago, but I'm going to just say it again because I think it's sort of like it's the important message here is color has such an influence on our lives that it is important that we learn all we can about it. And since color is a vibration, it is therefore a form of energy. And everything is a symphony of color. So I also want to refer to, in the CD content, it's lesson 153, and it's called The Therapy of Color. Hamid Bey explains an important message very clearly here, and that is how our thoughts, what's going on in our minds, create our moods and our emotions, and how that is related to color. He says, mood is really mental chemistry. So just as you put certain chemicals together to produce certain results, so mental chemistry depends upon the thoughts you combine in your mind. And as you combine your thoughts, you create a vibration. And a vibration is never devoid of color. For vibration and color can never be separated. So all color is a vibration. So it's important that we understand our emotions all the way from depression to inspiration, right? Because this can affect not only our physical bodies, but our very journey on this earthly plane. Hamid Bey explains that how we use color in our environment, the color of the rooms that we live in, again, the clothes that we choose to wear, from sunlight out there with a beautiful sun to darkness when the sun sets. All of it affects us. And he says, I'm quoting again, the energy of color, in addition to healing, can affect the mind in such a way as to turn failure into success. Because the right color combinations affect the individually physically, mentally, morally, and spiritually. So all four ways, color combination, the right color combinations, excuse me, can affect us all those four ways. So information about the importance of color has been around for millennia, of course, all the way from ancient civilizations, the study of feng shui, for instance, to our more modern times. So some of the basic information about color that we should be aware of is the base colors that we come into our carnation with. And this is often referred to as our life colors. And this is visible in what we call our auras. Now, I'm sure most of you probably know what an aura is, right? Yes? Or most of you anyway? Okay. But here's a little explanation from Hamid Bey. This is from lesson 153. The aura is an envelope which surrounds our physical body. It is an energy field directly enveloping our physical bodies. So just out from us is this an energy body called our aura. And when you were born back into a body from some previous incarnation, it is your consciousness that is coming back here to the earth plane. And your consciousness creates the energy that you bring back into the dualistic world of bodies. So that level of consciousness is manifested and is actually visible to some people as a color vibration. And so, and actually now through a new type of photography, I guess it's been around for a while, Carillion photography, you can actually photograph your aura. And Hamid Bey refers to the aura as the astral world of color. And he adds, the colors emanate like an electrical corona. So you kind of think of a corona around your body. Sometimes they become stronger and brighter and then darker, depending upon the thoughts being entertained in the mind. So you can make your aura brighter, happier, or joyful, and you can make this aura not so good, darker, depending on the thoughts that you are entertaining in your mind. And I've got a little booklet here I've had for a number of years, and I don't know how well you can see this, but not very well. Anyway, the name of the booklet is Auras, and this was written by Edgar Cayce, this little booklet. And he says an aura is an effect, not a cause. As the souls of individuals travel through the realms of being, they shift and change their patterns as they use or abuse the opportunities presented to them. Thus, at any time in any world, a soul will give off through vibrations the story of itself and the condition in which it now exists. So, for anyone that can see auras, the aura is a sort of tell-all of where we are on the earthly plane. So now let's take a closer look at what these colors are and what they mean. Again, from lesson 6, each and every one of us in our physiological makeup and vibrating frequency has small traces of all the universal colors. So they're all going to be in your aura. However, 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 of these colors are more dominant than the others, and they reflect or make up our personality. So these dominant colors in our aura is what are frequently being referred to now as our life colors. They are the base colors that Hamid Bey refers to as the more dominant And we might have one base color, and again, we might have two and sometimes three. So the base colors consist of the same colors that we see in a rainbow, as are described as our chakra colors. And in the same order, I'll picture here another book about color. This one's called Color Your Life. And if any of you have ever seen a rainbow in the sky, a real actual rainbow goes from red to orange to yellow to green to blue to indigo and then purple. That's what an actual real rainbow looks like. And that's the same order of the chakras in our body system, from the root chakra going all the way up to the purple at the top. And then, of course, beyond all these colors is white, which encompasses all colors, as Rose shared with us earlier. And on the opposite end of the spectrum is black, which is no color or the absence of color. So let's first take a look at the root chakra, which is red. And red is on the physical level. And as a base color, red represents force, vigor, energy. It's very physical, and it can also be very sexual. So I'm going to quote a little bit here from another interesting book. This is a book, and you can see this is called Life Colors, What the Colors in Your Aura Reveal. And it's written by Pamela Osley. And she has some really interesting things to say about all of this, the life colors. She says that reds love to live in physical reality, to manipulate their environments. They are not abstract thinkers, and they do not focus on spirituality. They can be leaders, movers, shakers, and they can also be stubborn and they can be powerful. Hamid Bey adds that all colors interpretations depend upon its shade. Like a dark red would indicate a high temper and nervous turmoil. And this person tends to be domineering and quick to act. So on the negative side, could be someone who's very over-controlling. And a light red, he says, would indicate a nervous, impulsive, and very active person who is unfortunately probably self-centered. Scarlet would be an overdose of the ego. And pink or coral is seen as immaturity, like delayed adolescence and a childish concern with self. I don't know, you know how we always like try to dress little girls up in pink, sort of immaturity. Anyway, so that's a little bit about red. Very physical color. Going up the spectrum, we would next come to orange, which is on the emotional level. And this person can be a risk taker and also can be very kind and generous. And Osley says that the orange base color represents the thrill seekers, the daredevils, who love the challenge and excitement of physical danger. And in their power, they make great firefighters and any kind of a rescue worker, saving others with their raw courage and daring and risk-taking adventurer spirit. They are also realists, preferring to challenge and conquer physical reality rather than to discuss things like abstract philosophies. And to these adventurers, life is real and tangible. And spirituality doesn't have much meaning for them, and they don't want to be bothered with such concepts. And Hamid Bey adds that orange is the color of the sun, so it is vital. Again, the thrill seeker, the daredevil, but can also indicate thoughtfulness and consideration of others. And there you would have your rescue workers. And also on the negative side, Hamid Bey says that a brownish orange shows lack of ambition, can be a don't care attitude, and some kind can be just sort of labeled as plain lazy. Okay, so that's a little bit about orange. Now let's talk about yellow, the next step up in the chakra colors in the rainbow. And yellow is on the mind or the mental level. Yellow can vibrate the energy of being idealistic, like the dreamers, the thinkers. They're very creative, and they might even be philosophers. Hamid Bey says that golden yellow indicates health and well-being, care of oneself, don't worry attitude, and they learn easily. They are happy, friendly, and helpful. Osley adds that yellows are the most fun-loving, free-spirited, energetic, and childlike personalities in the aura spectrum. Yellows are wonderful, sensitive, optimistic beings whose life purpose is to bring joy to people, to have fun, and to help heal the planet. And on the negative side, Hamid Bey adds that ruddy yellow shows someone who is timid. Well, anyway. And Osley says that yellow is a complicated energy color with a lot of playfulness and creativity, as she said, but also involving the inability to commit consistently either to a career or relationship. Sometimes makes them impractical, and they might be absent-minded, forget to pay their bills. And any conflict or unhappiness in their lives can lead to negativity like depression and unfortunately, even to addictions at times like drugs or alcohol or cigarettes. Okay, so that's a bit about yellow. So next up, you're getting up here to the heart chakra area, and we're coming to greens. And greens are both on a spiritual and a physical level. Osley says that they can be drawn to power, money, and business, as they are project-oriented and are accurate and precise, so they can be excellent in business. They are quick thinkers, good at solving problems, and their general life purpose is to experience as much as possible in this lifetime, to accomplish as much as they can, to grow and learn intellectually, and to empower others by example. So this is a good thing. And their motto would be, where there's a will, there's a way. Have you ever thought about saying that to somebody? Where there's a will, there's a way. And Hamid Bey adds that pure emerald green, especially with a dash of blue, and I guess that would be more towards a turquoise color, represents healing, someone who's helpful, strong, and friendly. And as it tends more toward blue, it's more helpful and more trustworthy. And again, on the negative side, Hamid Bey says that lemon green is deceitful. Osley says that when greens suppress their power or when they are blocked from having what they want, they become frustrated, they can be bitter, they can be resentful. They can also become quick to blame others for their problems, other people or outside circumstances. Frequently blaming employees or clients or friends or spouses or parents. So greens can be harsh and not people-oriented, and they might have few friends. But another person I'd like to bring up is Donna. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Donna Eden. She's an energy medicine person and has written some books. And she has a daughter named Titania. And Titania has a number of videos on YouTube about life colors. And in the one about greens, she says that greens founded our country. From the earlier adventurers who landed here to eventually becoming all about big business, power, control, might makes right. And unfortunately, even sometimes the wars are good for the economy because it's about increasing business. So a little bit about greens there. Okay, so moving on now to blues. Again, here in your throat chakra. That is on a spiritual and emotional level, which we could also perhaps just equate with love. And Hamid Bey says that blues represent spirit, a symbol of contemplation, prayer, and heaven. And he adds middle blue or aqua indicates someone who will work hard and get more done, and the deeper shades are best. Deep blues have found their work and are immersed in it. They can be moody and are usually people who have a mission, and they're steadfastly moving toward fulfilling that. They're mostly spiritual minded and are dedicated to unselfish causes, sciences, arts, or social services. They often become teachers or counselors, nurses. They can be in a company personnel managers. Always someone who wants to help, and they are patient and kind and loving. Osley says that blues are the most emotional personalities in the aura spectrum. They can cry at the drop of a hat, even if they're happy, hurt, angry, sad, or for no apparent reason. But it's this emotional depth that makes blues so warm and compassionate and caring. And of course, on the negative side, again, Ahmed Bey says that pale blue indicates little depth and a struggle toward immaturity, or struggle toward maturity. And also he adds that when an emotional level of a blue is out of balance, that can lead to depression, and unfortunately, even to suicide, holding on to guilt, and constantly saying, I'm sorry to others. So I want to ask yourself, how many times do you, I've had people that were constantly saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Anyway, whatever. And a little bit more input from Donna Eden's daughter. The blue age in the U.S. was around the 1950s. The age of father knows best. And mom stayed at home and baked cookies, and they were all into being very moral and, of course, monogamous. And then the next age that comes along is in the 1960s, where you have, and when I say age, what I mean is there's a large group of people that are being born, coming back onto the planet in certain life colors. So the violet age begins in the 1960s. And if you remember much about the 1960s, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you do, the time of global peace demonstrations, the civil rights movement, the hippies, the Beatles, and of course, a lot of sexual expression. So let's take a look at the violets, who are on a spiritual level, and being who they really are, which is love. Hamid Bey says that both indigos and violets are seekers of all types, people who are searching for a cause. And violets are people who want to live their being. They are devoted and loving. They could be waiters. They could be nurses. Anything that has to do with servicing others. Osley adds that they are older souls, and there can be inspirational visionaries, leaders, and teachers. They feel drawn to improve the quality of life on the planet, to help save people, animals, and the environment. And they often join humanitarian causes like the Peace Corps, for instance. And some of them prefer to reach people through music or film or other forms of art. Osley says that some violets on the planet in the 60s were John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King. So again, we go over to the negative side here. When violets feel out of their power, out of touch with their vision, they can feel scattered and overwhelmed. They might get to the point where they surrender. They're not self-reliant and can actually become somewhat like doormats. Now, let's take a look at purple energy, and is a life color. It's on the spiritual and mental level. And you may ask, what's the difference between a violet and purple? And in the color spectrum, the violet energy leans more towards a blue color, and the purple is closer to red. It leans more towards a red color. So Hamid Bey says of purples that they are inclined to be overbearing because of that infiltration of red, pink, that's the red vibration. So the next influx of beings on the planet in the 80s and 90s were the Indigos. And if you've not heard of Indigos before, what planet have you been hibernating on? The Indigo Energy was so widely out there that there was a book published. I got to show you this. This is, you can see this, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Indigo Children. So anybody out there have indigo children? Or maybe you are an indigo, perhaps. Donna Eden's daughter, Titania, has this to say about indigos. The indigo energy is a very special energy and came in at different times in history. Obviously, there would have been different times for all of these colors. And a large group came in 30 to 40 years ago. So we're now in an indigo age. And the indigo children knew that they had to speak their truth, and they're very old souls who knew where they came from. They're very wise and very psychic. Osley says that they are ushering in a new energy, a new consciousness, a new age of peace and harmony. And in their power, indigos are aware, they're bright, they're creative, intuitive, and independent. And going back again to Titania, she says that there are 4 different groups of indigos. The first group is the artists, who can be geniuses and multitaskers and are very creative. And she says that Michael Jackson was an indigo and Lady Gaga was an indigo artist. And I've got to throw this in here because when my children were very young, and they were born in the late 70s, going into the 80s, 90s, they were indigos, I was told by some people. Anyway, I'm going to show you this. Can you see this? This is my purse, my little handbag I carry around with me every day. And it was called Rainbow Kitties. If you can see the kitty cats in there and all the different rainbow colors. And my daughter made this for me. This is her artistry. And both of my children are very, very artistic. And then she says the second group are the conceptualists, and these indigos are the gamists who love video games. They are geniuses at online computer skills, and they're people like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. And they have to figure out a way to maintain a balance between nature and technology. Now I got one more thing I need to show you. Don't need to, but I want to. And I'm not sure if you're going to see this. This is a page from the Flint Journal, which is the newspaper in Flint, Michigan. And can you see this? Without too much light shining on it. This young man sitting at his computer, he's got his feet up on the desk and he's holding a laptop. He's got his sunglasses on. This was printed in the Flint Journal in 1995. The young man was 18 years old. And that's my son, my other indigo. Okay, so conceptualists. Very good at video games and that type of thing, anything computerized. And he's also a very fantastic artist, especially photography. So third group that Titania mentions are the humanists, who are very activists. They're charismatic. They persuade people to believe in a cause through the power of a word, and they want to help the earth survive. And the fourth are catalysts. And these souls can very often be deemed autistic. They're very often labeled socially awkward. And they might have a high sensitivity to noise, to smell, and other types of sensitivities. But they are incredible geniuses. And sort of dark blue with a little bit of purple, and it's very high vibration. Titania says that they will be the ones leading the way, finding ways to cure diseases, saving the planet, and they want to stand in their own authenticity. So, and then it's been said, I haven't read too much about this yet, that the latest large influx of young people coming in are crystals. So this, now we're leaning more towards a clear white energy. And Hamid Bey, of course, says that white indicates a soul in perfect balance. And then all color vibrations blend and combine to be pure white. And he also says that that was the aura of Jesus the Christ. That makes perfect sense. So, because we also recognize God or source or love is white light. And white light encompasses all colors, and of course, source or love encompasses everything. So, at the beginning of Pamela Osley's book, she has quite a few pages devoted to identifying your life colors, where you fill out a whole bunch, a questionnaire, page after page after page, and then you add up all of the numbers, and then according to the results of that, you come up with your base colors, and it might be one or two, or it could be a combination of colors too, because she has quite a bit of information in there about the combination colors. So I wonder, I'm going to end this now, and I just want to throw out there, do any of you know what your life colors are? You know, what you came in with, or what you are now? And do any of you see auras, or do you know anyone who's seen auras? So just throwing that out there.
Oh, just interested in with the changing frequencies of the planet right now. Does Mother Earth have a color, Lori? There you are. You kind of juggled around my screens.
Yeah, pretty much. Mother Earth is a lot of colors, but very green.
Wow.
Green color. Yeah.
With the energies of today, with the COVID pandemic, I wonder what the color of the energy of overall the population of Earth is like right now. Is it more of the darker colors, or is it in a healing transition? And it's interesting that your topic is of colors tonight, and it makes me think of that as we heal through this pandemic. I wonder if green's a healing color. You said, right?
I didn't understand what's a healing color?
Green is a healing color, isn't it? So
green can be a healing color. Again, it all depends on the shade. Yeah, as all of the colors have different shades. Dana, does anyone have any thoughts? There are a number of crystal children coming in, and they would be just now getting up into their 20s or so. So they haven't had a lot of influence yet. But I have heard a lot of talk about how the pandemic and COVID, et cetera, has slowed us all down, and that has been a good thing. So I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts on that, or the rest of it?
I'm thinking of the picture that they always show for the virus. It looks like red flowers and yellow flowers. So it seems to be a vivid red, so very strong. From what you were saying, the bright red would be
red and yellow. Huh?
Yeah, the red and yellow. It's not orange, but they show, when they show that circle with all those little flowerlets around it on the news, that's supposed to be the picture of what the virus looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a woman who has run in her family since the 1400s to see complete auras around everything. And I took a class from her one time with crystals and color healing. And she said that when in doubt about what color to use green. Malachite is a really good healing stone, according to her.
Yeah, I knew a lady who was born seeing auras. And when I was newly divorced, she had told me that my aura had a hole in it. She could see right where my heart area was. And she told me to massage my aura in that spot. And when she saw me later, she said, "You did a good job of that. That hole has healed at this point in time." But I know with Carillion photography, my colors are more blue-greens, but I don't know if it's exactly, the blue or the green. I don't remember. It's been a while since I had that done.
I took the test in Pamela Osley's book, and I came out blue-violet.
Mm.
That's a good one.
Yeah, very good.
I like the color navy blue, but that's a very dark color. And I don't consider myself of the dark or a pessimist or something like that. So,
I don't think it has to do with that.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah.
One of the things that Virginia said is that when you are going through something in particular, that area and the color of that area that is responding to that in your energy field gets really, really bright. And then as you work through it, it goes into a soft pastel.
When I knew Hamid Bey way back when, he talked about the return of the Green Man. And it had a lot to do with an event on Mount Shasta in 1949.
you can get the book on Amazon. They have used copies of it. It's a very interesting story. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But he talked about it, and he didn't go much into detail, but it stuck with me. And he said, there will be a return of the Green Man. Maybe he meant we were, or it's obviously a higher level of consciousness, or he wouldn't be talking about it. But so many times he talked about things so advanced that it was kind of hard to understand, even though I know he's right. I don't know what the Green Man really stands for.
What
something very wonderful.
the symbology of it. But The Green Man was written by Harold Sherman.
Yes.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, John, in the story, Hamid Bey was part of this council, and I think Harold Sherman's name was mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And so Harold Sherman lived in Traverse City. So I don't know, did you go up to see him personally?
Yes, I did.
And, well, you take it from there.
Well, he just talked about the same experience that he had at Mount Shasta in 1949. He kind of confirmed everything Hamid Bey said. And at the time, and still, I really don't understand the whole complexity of it. With Hamid Bey, he was so far advanced, but he just felt that was important. And I tried to kind of figure it out.
But the story of the Green Man, and it's fascinating read. The world's at a crisis, and the Green Man comes as kind of like a savior, as a messiah. And
yeah, he did refer to it as this person as the Messiah. And at that time, we had when I got to know him in the 60s and 70s, I started my center and quite a few Coptic ministers. We had to talk about the return of the Messiah, and that was on November 11th of 1949.
So back to color.
So do any of you see auras? Does anybody? Do you really?
Yeah, but not if I'm looking right at the person. It's always if I'm looking somewhere else and I can see it out of the peripheral vision. But not real distinct colors, more whites and grays and shadows. And I'm wearing red because it's Christmas.
No, you're wearing red because you're a power person. And
Lori, did you say that the Indigo were born 30 or 40 years ago? That's when their time was?
Yeah, like my children were born in the mid to late 70s, and then on into the 80s and 90s. Indigos, there was still a big influx of indigos coming in at that point, and then you had your the indigos very often were, the goth people. I mentioned earlier, yeah, like my daughter, for instance, when she was in high school, black hair, black lipstick, black everything. She wouldn't wear anything but black.
Oh.
Kids in her school accused her of being a witch. And she'd say, "Yes, and I will put a curse on you."
Well, my understanding of the Indigo kids is that they were here to shake things up, to change the norms, that they weren't going to follow the norms. And it was around the time of Indigo kids that there was this big thing with ADD, ADHD, and our society's way of dealing with it was to put them on drugs. I read an article once from my chiropractor's office. I could just kick myself for not copying it, getting a copy of it. But it said, "What if Einstein had been on Ritalin?" And it's like the genius of Einstein probably never would have come through. It would have been subdued.
Right.
Yeah, that was the fourth category that Titania mentions. That's the catalyst. They're very often deemed autistic or, some kind of problem like that. They probably would have been drugged, so to speak, by the medical.
Lori, I was told I was very high percentage of indigo, so I was born the wrong years.
No, not really. You can be that color and be born anytime. It just meant
an indigo, an indigo person. Not the color indigo. The indigo, but like you're saying, indigo was born 34 years ago. That wasn't my time.
Rebel, you.
What?
Yeah. You were a rebel in your time. Now, what that means is there's just a big influx coming in at that point. And indigo can be born anytime.
Okay, because I was shocked to find that out that I was indigo, because I thought that was like my children, not me.
Maybe they were too. Could be both. Yeah.
I love how the new science, the physics, is actually proving what the ancient and Eastern religions have been teaching all along, how your thoughts are creative and the law of attraction and all of that stuff. Anybody see that movie, What the Bleep Do We Know, Down the Rabbit Hole?
Yeah.
Quantum physics now is proving that consciousness is creating our reality.
Mm-hmm.
Our consciousness is creating what we think we see as a dualistic material world. Mm-hmm. That's quantum physics.
Yeah, I just ordered a book on the book of John for the Nag Hammadi Gospels. And Thomas, and this one individual, I can't remember the names right now, but he's looking at the teachings of Thomas from a mathematical perspective, physics and mathematics, and that was what. Then there's the science of imperfectionism and the spirituality of physics. That seems to be on the market. And Lori, I apparently don't live too far from you.
Oh, where are you at, Ginger?
I'm at Johnson City. I'm just over the hill. So,
you are just over the hill, right?
Yeah. And, and as a quilter, here's the thing that I keep seeing coming out is trying to find a balance. And we've been doing this since Hermes, I think, in finding the balance of, nature, science, whatever. And as a quilter, using colors, the shades that one of the articles that I come across in work is that one of the studies showed that women see colors and shades of color more than men, that men don't have as many divisions in the eye, and even some people, even some women have problems seeing green and all the other shades, but there's other, and that's genetics, you know. So
More
as a
men are
quilter,
colorblind, I think, too.
Mhm.
Aren't more percentage-wise, more men are colorblind.
yes, that is true. So, and I belong to a quilt guild, and I'm telling you, the quilts that come across that are complementary on the color wheel or a triad, you can hear in the meeting people going, wow, you know, that it evokes a kind of an emotional response. And the ones that are like more subdued, the browns and the navy blues that came out of the Civil War, there's a Civil War quilt color palette. And it is much more along the low energy kind of field. Okay, I don't want to say depressive, but it's more lower energy, more contained, you know. But the ones that have that balance from the color wheel evokes joy and energy and happiness. And in the guild, this is my personal observation, I think we're seeing more and more of those bright, joyful kinds of colors, because we do quilts for preemie babies coming out of NICU, you know, and that's very important. And we do what we call comfort quilts for court-appointed advocates where there's been domestic violence abuse and the court has removed the children and they're in, you know, or they're going through a court process. And so we do quilts and they're comforting and happy and just bright, you know. So that's evoking some kind of a healing process. And of course, the quilt is a comfort. You feel warm and wrapped up and secure and safe with the quilt. And then with newborns, neonates.
That's my crazy quilt my grandma made for me when I got married.
And that came out of the Victorian age.
And it's just scraps of fabric, right?
That's right. It's Victorian.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
They embroidered on them, and they took a lifetime, you know. And that's where the double wedding ring came in. But here's another thing I've observed is that some of the designs in quilt patterns that are traditional patterns in quilts are actually, in my opinion, a reflection of a spiritual principle. I've seen the double wedding ring, and if you look in sacred geometry at the flower of life, bingo, if you look at the star, what's called the Ohio star, it fits right into the tree of life Kabbalistically. And that's my different theory. And there's a couple other things in doing, but that color, there's other stories, but that color is so important for creating a vibrational tone, whatever, with the body, that something can be achieved for comfort quilts, you know? Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah, I have a friend who she just had an incredible wardrobe, but when the day was gray and rainy and dismal, she would pull out her brightest outfit and wear that day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, the other thing, isn't it interesting in a group of people? They don't talk about it, but they show up and they all have the same color scheme going.
Oh, yeah.
They got the memo.
So
Yeah, that's what we say.
So,
Okay,
you know,
we got the memo.
you wonder what that's all about. Whether there's something in the air or something.
Well, I think it was interesting in what Rose read about even a blind person is affected by color. It may take a little longer, but there's a vibration that's given off in each color.
Don't forget that it is the person's mental, it's their thoughts that create the color in the first place.
Okay.
So it's not the color affecting them. It is their own consciousness affecting and creating the color that they vibrate.
interesting. I have a whole bunch of felt pads that are different colors that I got from a class that I took when I was in school out in Lilydale. And we worked with color healing. And the idea was not to use our intuitive ability to choose a color for someone we were working with, but to let them choose it. Because they really know what is resonating for them at the time.